welcome to A Better Place Live. I am your host, Angelique. Today we will be continuing on our series on relationships. Stay tuned, we will be right back.
Hey guys, did you know that now with Telcel, if you accumulate $25 or more within one calendar month, you get 15 more?
15 more?
Yes, 15 more, however you want.
So I can top up $3 now, $10 next week, and so on until I reach or pass $25?
That's right, get 15 more.
Wow! I feel like a 15 again.
Yeah, right. Accumulate $25 or more within one calendar month and get 15 more. Telcel, when you want more.
Hi, and welcome back to A Better Place Live. As I mentioned in the intro, today we will be talking about relationships, and I have two very special guests in the studio with me today. Hi, and welcome to A Better Place Live.
Thank you. It's really beautiful. What you have here, great production, and we're happy to be here with you.
All right, thanks so much. So, as I mentioned, our topic is on relationships, and we are trying to bring across the positivity in being married. But before we get into that, we want to discuss a little bit about how you met, and of course, to David, how did you know that this is the woman you wanted to marry?
Okay, well, we talked about it a little bit before we came here, and the hard part is we actually met when she was 12 and I was 18. So that was the actual day we met. She could explain about that, and I didn't know that she was the one. Then I actually didn't even know that I met her, but she remembered me. So,
Okay.
So we're waiting in line at the movies by Galaxy in town, and it was a long wait, and me and my friend were, teasing our neighbor who was standing behind us, who happened to be his friend, and he was there with friends. And as we were calling my neighbor, because we're 12, we're like, hey, pig face, hey, whatever. We called him all these neighborly names just to pass the time. He came up forward and said, young ladies, insults are a sign of affection. And we were like, shut down. We were like, this guy just ruined our whole, waiting period to watch this movie. We were trying to just kill time before the movie. Like, man. We're like, but that was an innocent 12-year-old thing,
Right.
And then later on, I'd find out that he was the diver who drowned in Saba, who my mom and all of us were praying the rosary for while I was 12, 2 weeks later. But I'd find that out way later when I would meet him again in life.
So I guess because it's a small island, you know people from when you were younger, and so you don't know they're the one, and then at some point you meet them.
So when did you reconnect?
She asked me to go to her prom for via the radio, because she was at the time on the Teen Times modeling, so I knew of her because I would read those and you look at who's all these models, and she was working on the radio on Laser 101 with. She had a little show called Airheads with some of her friends, and my sister was also on the radio. So somehow through my sister, she asked if I could go to the prom with her, and I already knew of her from all of the pictures in the newspaper.
Why do I get the feeling that Cher has a different recollection?
Well, mine is more detailed. I called his sister thinking she had a bunch of brothers, and she could do me a favor and just, because my date was a friend and the person had to leave the island. So I asked all my friends, anybody, just as a friend, to walk me to the prom. I didn't need a boyfriend, I just needed a friend to go in. Not to go empty-handed. And I called up his sister, because I had her card and we worked together in the radio station. It's like, can you help a sister and hook a sister up with a brother? And she's like, okay. So in the end, she called David, and then David said yes. And he was very kind and brought a corsage and called me and asked what color dress I was going to wear. And I was like, well, that's nice. Huh. And he walked in just like a prince, tall, handsome. And all of us were like, wow. My mom and I were like, wow.
Okay, so that's the beginning. Now let's go straight, fast forward, marriage.
Marriage was we got married on Aruba Day, right?
Yep, March 18th.
That's because she's from Aruba, so that was a good date, so I wouldn't forget. So you see all these Aruba flags running, like, okay, it's anniversary time. So that helped, but that was in 2008, and we actually didn't get married for many years. So we were together for a very long time and engaged for a long time. And then we really only got married for, the idea of having kids and settling down and getting government benefits.
My stories are different.
David always, David is always going to bring laughter into this.
Makes it light.
I was going away with the Army, and if someone is not your wife, they can't visit you.
Oh, wow.
If something happened to you, and they get no insurance. They have basically not much. So by getting married, you get more pay in the Army, and they can visit you if anything happened. So
basically, you're telling me that you would not have gotten married?
no, the problem we had was this. It's a St. Martin problem where you need to have a big wedding, and you can't choose how many. Like, let's have a wedding with 50 people because it's a small island. You don't want people to know you were getting married. You didn't invite them.
Okay, like
so
that.
you have to have a big wedding, invite everyone, make sure you don't miss anybody, figure all of that out. So by having it like kind of a little bit faster, we did it in Statia, and we only invited 16 people, which was just our immediate family. And it made it a lot simpler than having a big production. That was taking years to come up with.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and it turned out to be like a magical, dreamlike little wedding that was perfect.
Okay, nice. So, you met him years ago. He didn't know it, at least he didn't remember, and then you reconnected, right? But leading on to the marriage, because there's a lot that happens before you decide to marry someone.
Yes.
How did you know that this is the person that you wanted to be with?
Well, for me, I think the fact that we spent 5 years getting to know each other and 2 years engaged, but during those 5 years, I was in college back and forth. We really grew a really strong bond. We learned the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. So I would suggest to get to know someone as much as you can, for as long as you can, and then make your ultimate decision.
And if every time they go away, you miss them, that's probably a good thing. So it's not like you look forward to them leaving.
Right.
And when they do go, you're really happy to see them back. So I think that experience over and over of having to go up to visit her in school and having her come down, and we were away and just communicating by phone or email, it makes you really realize that that person brings you some type of happiness, not when they leave, but when they...
Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be taking some questions from the audience.
Okay.
Good.
BE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering.
Again, we have in the studios with me today, Mr.
Mr. Ah. Okay.
But I didn't say, I messed up on the Mr. I think somebody better do.
Segment 2, take 3, and 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hi, and welcome back to A Better Place Live. We're back here in the studios with Mr. and Mrs. Bardfield, and we will be taking some questions from the studio audience.
Hi, nice to have you aboard. My question to you is, how was the first date? Because you were very young, both of you, but the lady was younger yet. How was that experience on your first date, you know, in terms of expressing yourself? You know, because sometimes we are very shy, you know, at the first date and we doesn't know what to say exactly. How did you manage that? How you handle it?
Well, it was going to the prom. I finished high school.
It was at Maho.
And I was more at the point where I was just grateful to have someone walk in with me. He wasn't my boyfriend. It was kind of like my friend doing me a favor and sending me her brother. And I didn't have expectations about him at all because I felt like he was doing me a favor too. And I just felt like safe around him. He didn't seem like he was very much
predator,
yeah,
not
he
a
didn't feel like a
predator.
predator. He felt more like a gentleman. He opened my car door. He walked me very politely. We had just very easy conversation, and everything just led very organically, like you know, throughout the months after. Like after that, we, you know, just went out casually again, and everything was pretty casual until, you know, when, a month or two?
I guess.
Like a month or two later, everything got, you know,
Well,
more like a dating scene.
I would answer it to say that we communicated in the form of dance, because it was a dance, and we danced a lot. We had a lot of fun. It was a good party. I don't know if they still do the proms that way, but they would do them for all the schools. She was from Milton Peters, and there was all the schools come together. It was at Maho in the back convention area. And she was just turning 18. We went to what was called Q Club at the time. I think it's Tantra now.
Yeah.
And I brought all of her friends. We had a nice table and champagne. And she was very impressed and thought it was all just for her, that this was a special thing planned. But at that time, I was, you know, my early 20s, and that was like every weekend we were doing that. So it was very natural to do it, but it felt like a princess welcome
Yeah,
for
I thought
her
it was
and her
all
friends.
me. Does that answer your question? Yes? Okay.
This question is for Mr. Bardfield. How did you propose to Mrs. Bardfield?
How did I propose to her? Well, I have a good friend in Phillipsburg, this guy Sepan. He's actually a fellow father at the school with us. And he gave me a very good deal on a ring. Because he had just got married beforehand. And so he's pushing his friends, you know, like when you get married, you want your friends to get married. And it was too good to be true. He really set me up nice. And so I got the ring. So the ring was there. That part was taken care of. And then I proposed to her in St. Bart's. We took a boat over from another friend of ours and went for lunch there just for the day. And I gave it to her when she was at the restaurant with around a lot of friends.
Yeah, I had my
And-
sister.
And again, it goes back to dancing. So over there, they could dance on the tables. That's the idea. So she was dancing on the table. This was all orchestrated. It was planned this way. That way, I wouldn't have to really take an actual knee all the way onto the ground. I could put a knee on the
Table.
table and propose to her. And then she's up there, and everyone's looking, going, "Wow!" It's so good." And she's crying. So that was how.
Yeah.
That was the proposal. Someone had suggested to put the ring in a piece of cake and have them eat the cake, have her eat the cake, because there's all these kind of interesting ways that you can propose. But I didn't think that would be good, because what if she broke a tooth and the ring would have all this chocolate on it? And she might not even notice and swallow it. So I went with the table.
I have a quick question. You know, after a couple of years of marriage, we sometimes, you know, need a reminder as to why it is we fell in love. What would you say you most admire about each other?
A whole flood, my head just flooded with so much things about David. To pinpoint David, he's such a good dad. And that always is like, to me, number one. He's kids on top of them all the time. He's really good with the kids. He's a good provider. I mean, the love part is there. That's just standard. You know, I'm not even a kid. I don't have to think about that. But that he cares so much about family and he works so hard. And I love the way he thinks. He's not someone that you can predict. Like he's in a direction that you know where his mind is going to go. He pretty much always thinks outside the box, and he likes to solve problems. So I think about that a lot. And he is a fun guy, and he's funny.
Well, it's an interesting question because you get into, and I'm in the same routine with Shelly there because going to school every day, dropping the kids. So it's a good question that you kind of forget that you're in a relationship with that person. That's your wife, not just the mother of your kids, and you're in this thing of getting everything organized every day. So that's the part. Sometimes when everything goes well, then you really look at the person and you realize it's the person that you married, that you used to have a lot of fun with. You still have fun, but the fun times where without all the kids, you had a lot of fun, just you two. So when you try to do that every so often, and just have some together time and actually enjoy it when everything else is done and you can feel good with each other. She does a good job of keeping in shape and keeping healthy, and that's a good part of why I married you. You stay...
He's honest.
So that's very important. I think that, when you say, wow, you really haven't changed.
Thank you.
Well, I think that's important because you hear a lot of couples, most of the time it's men saying that, I married her, she looked one way, and then, she got comfortable, and then she just forgot about herself and didn't continue taking care of herself. So I think that's a great compliment for Sherry Ann, and great that you notice, because that's another thing that you hear women saying also, that their husbands no longer notice them. And they no longer pay attention to them as a person.
Mr. and Mrs. Bardfield, this question is directed to Mr. Bardfield. Have you ever had to use the word yes there just for peace sake? I know in the past, I hear this from older folks that they would say yes there, just to get it all covered.
So about using yes dear, I don't really use the term yes dear, so I could say no to that, but I use yes my love. It sounds a little bit different for me, but it probably means the same thing. And I should use it more. I think a lot of times we just go silent, but silent is better than continuing. So if you're not getting anywhere, you just kind of go to opposite corners of the room. And now you have phones, you go on your phone. But the yes dear or yes my love would be better than just going silent on each other till we forget or till the kids make noise.
Well, thanks for giving some very open answers to the audience. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about who were your role models, and also about parenting and kids. Okay? Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Bob, I see you got a new couch. Now you don't have anything else to worry about. Uh-oh, but don't worry about it. With your Be Sure home insurance, the contents of your home are all covered for free.
Are you be sure? Be sure.
Yeah, for free.
talk a little bit about your parents or whomever were your role models, and of course parenting, because earlier you talked about the children and having to do so much with them. So choose whichever one you want to start with first.
Well, I think it's better. I'll talk about her parents. She'll talk about my mom and my dad when he was here before. That's definitely a very big help in relationships. I know a lot of people move away from their family, or they have this urge to move away. We only move closer and closer, and it really helps for the kids because they spend so much time with her parents and my mom, and it's a very nice thing because it's not babysitting. It's like it's family time, so you don't have to feel bad if you drop the kids there and they're playing. That's their family they're growing up with. Her parents are both I love them. I'm very happy that I have great in-laws because it's always a joke on TV or, oh, the father-in-law, the mother-in-law. I have the best relationship with them because they're very, very good people, very nice. We talk a lot about buildings and stuff because her father is an architect and her mom is very involved with the church. I'm Jewish in my background, but we have a lot of conversations about religion. And Catholicism is very similar to Judaism, actually. So all of those points, even if we're different, we have a good time about it. And that really helps me that her parents live so close. And we can spend time with them, and it's not ever a burden. It's always fun to go over. I'll go and visit her parents when she's not there or without the kids, and vice versa.
Same. His parents were very welcoming to me, and from day one, when he introduced me to his mom and dad, they said, "Oh no, call me Claire, call me Morty," and I was like, "Are you sure?" And they're like, "Yeah." So they were very pleasant, and David's dad was definitely a big part of. Well, I was growing up. I was learning a lot from him. He was a very wise and strong businessman, and very successful businessman, and he raised wonderful kids. My husband. And his mom was like an angel. Like sometimes you go looking for her wings. Like she's so amazing, and even more amazing as a mother-in-law. Like I could use her as an example for most things, as well as with my mom. Like my mom's a no-brainer. I just think like, wow, how did my mom have that look that just stilled us? You know, like that eye, and you're just like, you know, I still haven't, grasped it. I'm like, one day I'll get it. And but his mom has such a nice calm and patience. And about her, and I asked her so many times, like, how do you do it? And she goes, well, at this age, I should get it by now. She's like, it takes years, and she has such a patience about her that I admire so much, and I'm very grateful to have them in my life as well. I'm very blessed to have great in-laws as well, like as David said. So on both ends, and both our parents are very close as well. So if we go for dinners, it's always a very big group. Right. It's nice. And with the kids, Claire is so helpful, even though she's by herself now, but we have Melissa, David's sister, and brother as well, and my sister. And she's so hands-on, still has so much energy. It's just like, okay, I can be like that later on in life for sure. Like when I'm a grandma, this is my example. This is my role. I got to be like this or better, like if there's a possible way. But yeah, she's a great example.
And going back to it a little, when my father passed away in 2012, and I would say that was one of the reasons why I had kids faster, where if your parents are getting older, it's like the only gift you can really give back to them is grandchildren. And so if your brother or sister or your other siblings didn't have their own children yet, somebody has to give them their grandkids, and then it kind of completes the cycle. It also makes it easier to let your loved ones go, I think, for me. Like having your father move on, but you have the kids that met him and they sort of take after him. So it gives you some sort of continuity even when your parents get older. So that's a big influence. And even though my kids, one of them was only 2 and the other was just born, they still remember him through all of our pictures and conversations about him.
Yeah. And I will have to also on the in-laws, my mother-in-law, I'll have to say that I have to repay the favor. One day I hope to be a good mother-in-law to my son's pick or my have
Whoever they
pay-
bring
yeah,
home.
whoever they bring home, I'm gonna just suck it up and be like, just patience. So, it's good examples.
Yeah, so you talk now about your children. How many children do you have?
We have three. We have
Three.
Lucas, he's 8, Aaliyah, 6, and Mason, he's 4.
Okay, so one princess and 2 princes.
Yes. In the
And
middle.
how is that going? Because having, one child is a lot of work. Now you have 3. How do you balance out your life having 3 children?
Well, I'll say, at the risk of you getting mad at me, the only time I really wanted to strangle my wife was when we had 2 kids. 3 is no problem. It was 2, when you have one and then another, and then you're fighting, and then that's where we're like, oh, do this, do that. With 3, they sort of start to, it just becomes one big blur of children. and then I guess from what I hear is when people have 4 or 5, it's the same as 3, or it's not so much more. They start babysitting each other and,
Right.
and all of these things.
Well, I want to
It
thank
aches
both
up.
of you. The interview was a great one. I think that you did bring positivity to light, and that's what this is about. And of course, honesty, because it's not perfect, and that's what you shared. Nothing is perfect. You're human, but you know what? One thing you have in common is that you love each other, and that's important. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
And I would like to thank you, the live audience, and the viewing audience for having been a part of A Better Place Live. Stay tuned for more programs. I am your host, Angelique Remou.